Story time about my toxic ex-friend group. So my freshman year, I had moved to a new high school. So right away, I started being friends with this group of girls, and they were super nice. And I was also friends with this group of guys. Well, since I was friends with both groups, we all started hanging out all the time, but only whenever I was there. The boys just didn't want to hang out with the other girls. And after a few months, the girls started acting really strange. So anytime that I would hang out with the boys and not invite them, they would ignore me for a whole week. Meaning they wouldn't talk to me in school, they wouldn't answer my messages, or anything like that. Not a single one of them. And also, anytime that we hung out, they would be like, "Oh, invite the boys." And it was like they never wanted to hang out with me. So the one night, one of the boys was throwing a party. And I was going, and the girls asked if they could come, but they had drama with a lot of people, so the boys didn't want them coming, but I invited them anyways. Like for part 2 to the toxic ex-friend group story time. So, I invited them to the party, they showed up, and they were being really rude and standoffish the whole entire night. And these girls literally hated it whenever I would hang out with the boys or talk to the boys. Come to find out that every single one of the girls had a crush on every single one of the guys that were in my friend group. Also, I'm a very friendly person and will talk to anybody, and they got pissed off whenever I was talking to anybody who wasn't them. So a little bit into the party, I start getting a lot of dirty looks from a lot of different girls that I've never even talked to. And this girl walks up to me and she's like, "Why have you been Snapchatting my boyfriend?" And I'm like, "Girl, what are you talking about?" She goes, "A few of your friends told me that you like my boyfriend and that you've been Snapchatting him and trying to get with him." So then she calls the girls over from my friend group and goes, "Didn't she tell me this?" And they're like, "Yeah, she tries to get with everybody's boyfriend." So after that, I got kicked out of both friend groups because they spread a bunch of lies and rumors about me.
Storytime about how I got a facelift when I was 18 to become a famous Instagram model. And I am a famous Instagram model. Can you guess who I am? Disclaimer, this is not my story time. This is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. I grew up in the Kylie Jenner era when she started getting her lips done. Remember that? Kardashians were a Bible to me. I watched Keeping Up with the Kardashians and was totally obsessed with their looks. You see, at the time, I wasn't the prettiest girl. I was really skinny. I had no bum and no boobalas. Once Kylie Jenner started getting her body done, that's when I really started getting FOMO. To be honest, and I know this sounds cliche, but social media made me start hating my face. I would constantly compare myself to Instagram models. That's when I started photoshopping my pictures. It made me feel so much better to post. Then I begged my parents for lip fillers. They finally said yes, and I went ahead and got them. For me, the next logical thing was to look like Kylie Jenner. So I decided my parents to let me get surgery. They finally said yes, but trust me, it took a long time to convince them. We went to a plastic surgeon, and that's when I decided to get a full facelift. I know it sounds severe, but it was so worth it. But I didn't stop just at my face. I even convinced my parents to get my boobalas and my bum done. Participating all my plastic surgery at 18, I finally became a famous Instagram model. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. This is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. The healing process, of course, was painful, but it was so worth it to me. Once I saw my body and my face, I felt so much better about myself. But something else was missing. Everyone on Instagram was getting their brows tattooed and lash extensions. I went ahead and got those things done too. And I started paying back my parents for all the surgeries. So this was my basic beauty routine. I would get a mani-pedi every 2 weeks. I would get my hair colored every single month. I was getting lip fillers every 6 months. Facials every 2 weeks. A personal trainer who I exercise with 5 times a week. And I forgot to mention, I had 100,000 followers on Instagram at this point. So I was getting a lot of brand deals aside from the modeling. That's when I started noticing that Kylie Jenner's butt was looking bigger, so I wanted to get mine bigger. I also wanted to get my hips wider like her too. I even started buying all the designer stuff that Kylie was wearing too. I asked my plastic surgeon to make my butt look bigger like Kylie's. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. By the way, at this point, I'd already had a full facelift and lots of body work done by the time I was 18. My plastic surgeon told me he wouldn't give me another round of butt filler. I was really upset. Then my parents asked me to come over. When I got to their house, they told me the plastic surgeon had called their house and told them that I was looking for more surgery. My parents were beginning to worry, but I assured them that everything was okay. I was not addicted to plastic surgery or anything like that. I just knew how competitive the modeling industry was. Instead, I decided to get filler in my face. I got my nose and my cheeks done. And that's when I started getting hired by more makeup companies. After a year, my Instagram following went from 100,000 to 1 million. I've modeled for over 50 brands and I'm currently planning my own brand. My Instagram followers are constantly accusing me of getting plastic surgery, but I've never admitted to anything. I'll come back to the comments and see if anybody guessed who I am. I know people hate Instagram models because they never admit to it, but I will never admit to my plastic surgery. I mean, I'll probably have plastic surgery again. Have you guessed who I am?
Story time about how I was the side chick. So it was my freshman year and I had just moved to a new school. And I lived next to this senior boy. You know, the one that thinks you're good enough to do stuff with, but not good enough to date? Yeah, that one. Well, we both were on the same bus and I thought he was really cute, so I asked him for his Snapchat. And I got it. So we started talking a lot and we would always talk about me sneaking over his house because my parents were super strict. So homecoming night, I saw him grinding with this girl, but I didn't exactly think anything of it because literally everybody was just being passed around. Well, I went home after, and at like 2 in the morning, I got a text from him saying to come over. So I went over there, we did the dirty, and then I started to go over there almost every other night at 2 in the morning. And there was this one girl that I got really close with. And I told her all about the situation, but I didn't tell her till like 3 months after it was happening because he told me not to tell anybody, of course. And she goes, "You know he has a girlfriend, right?" So I felt really bad and confronted him, like for part 2. Part 2 of me being the side chick. So that night he had asked me to come over again. And I went over there, but it's not what you think it was for. I got over there and I was like, when were you gonna tell me you had a girlfriend? Literally, this comment made me want to throw up. He goes, "What do you mean? I thought you knew." So I was like, no, I actually didn't. And he goes, "So does that mean you don't want to come over anymore?" He goes, "I really liked you, and I was gonna break up with my girlfriend for you." Which I know this is so bad, but that made me happy because I had the biggest crush on him. But then I just left. And the girl that he was dating was a senior. And I asked my friend for her Snapchat so I could Snapchat her. So I did, and I told her everything that was going on. And somehow it got flipped around on me. Her saying that I was obsessed with her boyfriend. And then she got the nudes that I sent her boyfriend and sent them around the whole school. My new school. Moral of the story, if he says he's single, make sure he's actually single.
Story time. My manager became my stalker. 4 years ago, when I turned 16, I started working at Dunkin'. This was my first job, by the way. So my interview process was super easy. We probably talked for like 5 minutes and then he just hired me on the spot. When it came to training, he was the only one that could train me. And he told people not to teach me anything or to not even talk to me. So I found that weird. So this one day my dad texted me and obviously I went to go check my phone and my manager was literally stalking me through the security cameras. I probably held my phone for 10 seconds and he texted me within that same period of time to get off my phone. So I look up around me and I'm like, where is he watching me from? He's not even here. He was literally watching me from his house. Every little thing I did, he would text me about it. And then things got a lot weirder, like for part 2. Story time, my manager became my stalker part 2. Like I said, he was watching me through the security cameras on every little thing I did. And he would text me about it. At the time, I found that weird, but I found this weirder. He would text me all the time saying, "Oh, can you come into work today? Like, it's really busy and we really need you." So this was during summer, so I had all the free time. So I'm like, okay, I can come in. So I would come in and clock in. So as soon as I did that, he would send somebody home. He basically just wanted me there every day, even when they didn't even need me. And he would always constantly ask me if I'm hungry, because where my Dunkin's located, there's a bunch of food chains around it. And of course, I would always say, no, I'm okay, because I found it really odd. But not only that, he's also around the same age as my dad. So I just found everything really strange. He would text me even when I'm not at work. And this went on for 2 months until I finally quit. He did not like that at all.
Story time about why I beat up my best friend. So a little background information. Her and I had been best friends since we were in 7th grade. Her family was rich, mine was poor. And at first she was a really good friend. She was always there for me whenever I needed her. Until our freshman year of high school, which is when her and I started hanging out with boys. Now my mom was kind of strict. She wouldn't really let me hang out with boys. But her mom was more lenient about her hanging out with boys. Every weekend she would throw a party at her house. And she would throw them in her attic because 1, it was huge, and 2, her parents didn't give a fuck what she did up there. Anyways, she would always offer to do my hair and makeup before the party started. Which always made me really excited because I never really put any work into my physical appearance. Well, little did I know, the only reason why she would offer to do my hair and makeup at these parties was so that way she could make me look like shit in front of all the boys. So after that, I taught myself how to do my own makeup and do my own hair, like for part 2.